Hello, this is the presentation for the first evidence. The topic is processes to change the shape of materials. My name is Ernesto Gallegos. Let's get started. Well, we'll see 6 different types of processes. The first one is forming. Forming, or metal forming, is the metalworking process of fashioning metal parts and objects through mechanical deformation. The workpiece is reshaped without adding or removing material, and its mass remains unchanged. Forming operates on the material science principle of plastic deformation, where the physical shape of a material is permanently deformed. An example of forming process is the manufacture of coins. Using a press and high temperatures, a country is able to shape metal into coins. Second process, hydroforming. Hydroforming is a cost-effective way of shaping ductile metals such as aluminum, brass, low alloy steel, and stainless steel into lightweight, structurally stiff, and strong pieces. One of the largest applications of hydroforming is the automotive industry, which makes use of the complex shapes made possible by hydroforming to produce stronger, lighter, and more rigid unibody structures for vehicles. This technique is particularly popular with the high-end sport car industry and is also frequently employed in the shaping of aluminum tubes for bicycle frames. Hydroforming is a specialized type of die forming that uses a high-pressure hydraulic fluid to press room temperature working material into a die. To hydroform aluminum into a vehicle's frame rail, a hollow tube of aluminum is placed inside a negative mold that has the shape of the desired result. High-pressure hydraulic pumps then inject fluid at very high pressure inside the aluminum tube, which causes it to expand until it matches the mold. The hydroformed aluminum is then removed from the mold. Hydroforming allows complex shapes with concatives to be formed, which will be difficult or impossible with standard solid die stamping. Hydroformed parts can often be made with a higher stiffness to weight ratio and at a lower per unit cost than traditional stamped and welded parts. Virtually all metals capable of cold forming can be hydroformed, including aluminum, brass, carbon, and stainless steel, copper, and high-strength alloys. So, as we mentioned, the best example of this method, the hydroforming process, is the parts of the rigid unibody structures in the vehicles. Third one, forging. Forging is a manufacturing process involving the shaping of metal using localized compressive forces. The blows are delivered with a hammer, often a power hammer or a die. Forging is often classified according to the temperature at which it is performed. Cold forging, a type of cold working, warm forging or hot forging, that it is a type of hot working, and for the latter two, the metal is heated, usually in a forge. Forged parts can range in weight from less than a kilogram to hundreds of metric tons. Forging has been done by smiths for millennia. The traditional products were kitchenware, hardware, hand tools, weapons, and jewelry. Since the Industrial Revolution, forged parts are widely used in mechanisms and machines. Wherever a component requires high strength, such forgings usually require further processing such as machining to achieve a finished part. Today, forging is a major worldwide industry. And this is an example of this process. This is a smith forging a nail. As I mentioned before, they used to forge swords and shields in the past. Fortunately, we're not living in the Middle Age. Process number 4, extrusion. Extrusion is a process used to create objects of a fixed cross-sectional profile. A material is pushed through a die of the desired cross-section. The two main advantages of this process over other manufacturing processes are its ability to create very complex cross sections and to work materials that are brittle, because the material only encounters compressive and shear stresses. It also performs it also forms parts with an excellent surface finish. Drawing is a similar process, which uses the tensile strength of the material to pull it through the die. This limits the amount of change which can be performed in one step, so it is limited to simpler shapes, and multiple stages are usually needed. Drawings is the main way to produce wire, metal bars, and tubes are also often drawn. And some examples of extrusion parts are railings for sliding doors, window frames, or aluminum ladders. Fifth one, punching. Punching is a forming process that uses a punch press to force a tool, called a punch, through the workpiece to create a hole via shearing. Punching is applicable to a wide variety of materials that come in sheet form, including sheet metal, paper, vulcanized fiber, and some forms of plastic sheets. The punch often passes through the work into a die. A scrap slug from the hole is deposited into the die, in the process. Depending on the material being punched, the slug may be recycled and reused or just discarded. Punching is often the cheapest method for creating holes in sheet materials in medium to high production volumes. When a specially shaped punch is used to create multiple usable parts from a sheet of materials, the process is known as blanking. In metal forging applications, the work is often punched while hot, and this is called hot punching. Slugging is the operation of punching in which punch is stopped as soon as the metal fracture is complete and metal is not removed but held in whole. The perfect example for the punching processes are in this case the kitchen appliances. Here we can see the final product of this process. And last but not least important, stamping, the sixth process. Stamping, also known as pressing, is the process of placing flat sheet metal in either blank or coil form into a stamping press, where a tool and die surface forms the metal into a net shape. Stamping includes a variety of sheet metal forming manufacturing processes, such as such as punching using a machine press, or stamping press, blanking, embossing, bending, flanging, and coining. This could be a single stage operation where every stroke of the press produces the desired form on the sheet metal part, or could occur through a series of stages. The process is usually carried out on sheet metal, but can also be used on other materials such as polystyrene. Stamping is usually done on cold metal sheet. Well, metal stamping can be applied to a variety of materials based on their unique metalworking qualities for a number of applications across a wide range of industries. Metal stamping may require the forming and processing of base common metals to rare alloys for their application specific advantages. Some industries require the electrical or thermal conductivity of beryllium copper in areas such as aerospace, electrical, and the defensive industry, or the high strength application of steel and its many alloys for the automotive industry. And the example for this stamping process will be in the aerospatial industry, in this case, in the assemblies in the planes. And these were the six processes to change the shape of materials. Unfortunately, the video has come to its end, so I hope you enjoyed the video and have a wonderful day.